What's up, y'all? It's Shuffle, and this is going to be the last iteration of the tier list. I've noticed that Darkest Dungeon went on sale, so there are more new people just getting the game and then checking out the channel, so I've been very thankful for the spike in traffic and subs and comments. Some really cool people. So I've had to think about this, is the best way I can say it. So since I made this list about five and a half months ago, whatever it is, obviously I've still been playing the game, so I've learned more. I've tried to digest other people's opinions, so I've been looking at other tier lists and stuff like that. I've been talking to people in the comments. Like, I've had some really well-spoken arguments from people that disagree with me. They go, well, I think this because, and they lay out their points. Or they go, well, why do you think this? And I have to, like, justify what I'm saying. So it's been really nice. I like that kind of interaction. I know some people don't like to be challenged. They're stubborn. They pick that hill to die on. But I actually really like discussing these things. So there's been a lot of good comments discussing it. And I've had people pull my opinion certain directions since then. And I've had to answer it in the comments like multiple times over the videos. So I think instead of having to answer the same thing repeatedly because everyone doesn't seem to read the comments, which I don't blame them, you know, people just, like I've done it, you just watch the video's over, you drop down to the comments, you say what you need to. Sometimes the channel creator, whatever you want to call it, content creator, which I don't like that term, but whatever, jumps in, talks to you, so that's pretty cool. This is a reflection of, as I said, the research I've been doing, the people I've been talking to, and then my own experience. So there are a couple things that are going to change. So this is the same tier list that I had at the end of the third video. It's just reversed. This way it's left to right, because I think right to left just looks funky, even though that's how I was doing it. So it's left to right, so that means that at the top, I think the Highwayman is the best character. I think Crusader's really good. And then you go down to A, I think Graverobber's really good. I think all those characters are good. So what we're going to change, first of all, is probably no surprise. It's going to be the Shieldbreaker. She's going to jump, like, right there. Okay. So the reason being, Shieldbreaker has a lot of reach and a lot of utility, so the armor piercing is obviously good. I think I've talked about that. I know I laid out a lot of reasons in my tier list video, so I'm not trying to rehash everything, so I'm trying to make this quick. But her reach, her versatility is really good, and the reason she doesn't go higher is just because it takes, as I said, it takes way too long for her to get online. So she power spikes at 2, because then she gets +2 speed on her weapon, and Impale gets a dot effect, so that's like what she's looking for. And then her higher levels, she gets the rest of her trinkets, and then she can really be a solid tank with her ability to block and have some high HP with her personal armor. Or you can get like the spear with Mark if you're doing a Mark comp, and she can put out some solid numbers. Her Color of Madness, sorry. Her Color of Madness trinket is really good as well. So there's a lot going for her, and I've been playing her a lot since then. So I think she's pretty good. I've seen a lot of people say she's just like the best. She should be considered the best, and she has some drawbacks. Like, even though she can do some armor piercing and blight, which are two good things to have as damage types, blight and armor piercing kind of overlap a little bit, because usually you use damage over time if they have high armor, so you don't have to deal with it. What I started using a lot was, if I had direct damage teams, I started using her armor piercing camp skill, and that thing is really good. So I think her going up there is pretty nice. I think a lot of the people that have been talking to me about it, I think they can probably feel that this is okay. Some may want her higher, but I think that's good. The next one is going to be, actually the Plague Doctor's going just up. This character is still insane. She's been nerfed a couple times, and what she's good at is stunning, and then stunning has been reworked a little bit. Like, they changed the percentages, like the stun resist buff that you get after being stunned. It went from 40 to 50, and her trinkets have gotten nerfed, and then other stun trinkets have gotten nerfed. So stunning is really powerful, and she's really good at it. And then this character's still just nuts, and I think the buff that she has to increase damage and speed, now that it is, I don't think it was for all the entire battle before. I said like 3 different ways to say the entire, but whatever. I think it used to be for like 3 turns and you just spam it and stack it up, but now I think it's just you hit it once and it's the whole thing. So that's really, really good. Actually, I'm going to take a sec here to double check to make sure I'm not just talking out my butt. Okay, yeah, so she can use her battle buff for the damage and speed. She can use that twice in a battle. Really, really good still, so that makes her good in prolonged encounters, and then she's still good in short encounters because of her double stun. So she's got a lot going for her, so I feel that she's cool up there, which is a pretty big leapfrog, all things considered. The Graverobber, I've had people talk to me about her. I'm not moving her because I've been playing with her a lot because I've had to make content for my Graverobber guide. So doing runs with her, like no light stuff and all of that, she feels really, really good. And anyone that thinks she's bad for whatever reason, maybe I'll be able to convince them or clarify my opinion a little bit when I make my... Sorry about that, when I make my Graverobber guide. My computer started acting funny. I think one of the fans is going out because it's making some noise now, but that's whatever. So she's staying there, but it's just more I've had people talk to me about her, and a lot of people go, well, she's not that good, but I think anyone that is thinking she's not good just needs to really, really invest in a shadow fade setup, because once I just started making that exclusive, like she's always rank 1 or 2, and then she shadow fades. That usually protects her from a lot of stuff, and then she just lunges or throws daggers, and it's really good. So I think she's fine where she's at. The leper is going to move down just probably to here, and the reason being that he's self-sufficient, which is good, but at the same time he has to spend turns becoming this, this powerhouse, and any damage dealer like the leper, he is one, he's really tanky, but he's a damage dealer primarily. You want him attacking every turn. You don't want to be hitting self-heal or revenge, even though they are good abilities, but ideally you have other setups, so you don't just want to be spending time buffing unless you have like a fight is going to go long. Like some boss battles go, 7, 8, 10 turns, whatever, maybe more. And then that's probably better to use, but for the most part, in the average fight, you just want him hitting stuff. And usually what he's swinging into is the beefy frontliners, and a lot of them have prot, so probably drop down a little bit. Takes a lot of nurturing. Next, let's see. I really didn't want to have a super bloated A tier. I really didn't. And so I don't know if I'm still going to do it. But the Abomination could be... If I can... So either the Abomination is here, or it goes up to the bottom of A. And that's tough. So I think... I think this is okay. So... Oh god, I'm all like 50-50. I'm going to think about this for 1 second. So I think I'm actually going to do it. The Abomination's going to go to the end of A up there, so now we have this really weird, not symmetrical looking tier list anymore, but it's okay. So it makes sense, you have the most characters in the middle 2 tiers, and honestly a lot of the characters are on average really good in this game, even the ones that are in B. Obviously, as I said before, you can still build a team around them and they can shine and look amazing. That's the beauty of the game. The reason the Abomination is going up is because he's just good. Like, I can... Like, what can I say, right? So the reasons the Abomination is coming up to here is just because his speed is pretty fantastic, and he has a stun. So part of the reason I moved the Plague Doctor up was because she's like a 8 or 9, I think it's 9, like 9 speed stunner, and the Abomination's the same thing. It's a 9 speed stun class, which is really just fantastic. So that speed should be recognized, and his only real huge drawback, it used to be the non-religious thing. That was like his most, that was easily the biggest flaw to have with him, but now that that's gone, the fact that he's really fast, can stun reliably, and has some good variety in his moveset. So he has direct damage, damage over time with his double blight, and then he has his stun obviously, and he can hit some good ranks. And then he also has, I always forget that he has this, but one of his transform skills, it's like a knockback, so it sends him back. That's also good. Rank is ridiculous. If you have any fight where the enemy is constantly spawning units, or if it's something like the Flesh, other fights like that, Rake just becomes ridiculous if he can just hit it 3 times straight. After he hits it 3 times, it just starts clearing stuff really, really easily, or just putting down a lot of damage. So things like the Shambler, I think the Abomination is the best Shambler killing class because it just dumpsters the Clapper Claw tentacles. So he's really good there. And his only remaining weakness at this point is just the fact that he can't fulfill everything with just 2 trinket slots. That's actually kind of unfortunate. So if you're going to use them to do stuns and blight, which is completely viable, that's usually my preferred way to play him. Usually the transformation is just kind of a Hulk out last ditch thing, like, okay, we need some damage, so now I'm going to go. Which means that when you try to itemize for that, you usually have to put 1 or 2 trinkets together, usually 2, or you can do 1 and then like a defensive trinket like the Flesh Heart. I like to do that, and that way you cover a couple bases. That's the only thing that prevents me from moving him higher, is just that you can't reliably build him for everything. But I shouldn't say he's only good, but he really shines when you get to use everything, if that makes sense. So if you want to make him a blight user with stun, you have to put 1 or 2 trinkets. If you want to make him a dedicated melee, you have to give him usually 2 melee trinkets, probably some accuracy buff, because his accuracies are kind of garbage. And so you give him some accuracy buff, and then you give him some extra damage, and then he starts shredding stuff, but then you miss out on having his really good stun. You can still use it, but usually when you have, as I said, the damage over time and stun stuff, you want to have something that boosts the chance for those to land to really good levels. That's why Padlock of Transference is good. It just hits both of them. So I think he's okay there. So if you can just put someone there that covers up one of his 3 things, like, you can make him pretty tanky. You can use him as I said, debuffer, stun, dot kind of thing, and then you can use him as a melee. I don't know why I said debuffer, but you get what I'm saying. So you can use him as those, like 2 of those reliably. It's kind of hard to get all 3. So if you can find something to cover the 3rd, then it's really good. Like, if you have the Abomination and the Man-at-Arms, he doesn't have to be a tank anymore. So that's pretty good. I like that. Otherwise, I feel like I'm beginning to ramble, which is where I did not want to be with this video. I was trying to keep it short and sweet. That way I'd have to do less editing, and I could get it out to y'all quicker. I was considering some of the other characters, but I'm pretty set with this. I'm pretty happy with this. I know some people, because like I said, I've been reading online comments, some people want the Man-at-Arms higher. The Man-at-Arms really just has guard going for him at this point. Like, his lower damage makes his riposte worse. His 1 single stun is okay. The main issue I have with him is Bellow. I hate Bellow. I hate the way it works now. Just by using it, like I said, you have to make the accuracy check, and then you have to hit the debuff check. And he's supposed to be your tank as well, with guard. So it's like, you can't slot accuracy and debuff and tank things, and then like whatever other thing you're trying to do. Like, he's spread too thin with how it's working now. So it's basically you just put bolster, guard, rampart, and then just go from that point. So he's not as cool as he was before. The nerfs hit him pretty hard. And I will say that even though the Flagellant, the Man-at-Arms, and the Bounty Hunter are like side by side in the same tier, they're about all equal in my eyes. I can't make a straight line with the 3 of them, but I would consider the 3 of them pretty comparable in terms of effectiveness. The Flagellant got nerfed super hard, which was fair, but that's part of the reason I feel like the character's at the top. Not so much the Crusader, he's just really solid, but like the Plague Doctor and the Highwayman are still pretty unfair, so that's why they made it to S. Usually your S tiers in games are things that are unfair, but they're still legal, so it's not, wow, this is just the best thing. It's like, no, it's actually a little unfair. The other sticking point I had was the Bounty Hunter. I don't like the mark stuff too much, but his personal marks are actually pretty good. But otherwise, I really am starting to like his support type of setup. Come Hither just with the movement is good. Even, you don't really, like, the mark is good if you have a mark team, of course, but just being able to move people is always good. He can move them forward and back, he can move them anywhere, so he's got uppercut, he's got flashbang, 2 good stuns, moves people around, Come Hither, disrupts positioning a lot. There are a lot of enemies that have the human subtype. I think it's the most common. I'm pretty sure. It's either that or Eldritch. But there are a lot of things that have human subtype, and his main attack that does bonus damage to Mark also does bonus damage to human. So just baseline, he's really good at killing humanoid enemies, which is really nice about him. And then the last thing is Caltrops. Caltrops is pretty awesome the more I've been playing with it. So if you have certain enemies that are kind of tough and they may not go down easily, a combo I like to run is like Hellion and Bounty Hunter. And the Bounty Hunter usually goes first. He's got higher base speed than Hellion. So the Bounty Hunter can Caltrops the backline person, and then if the debuff sticks and the bleed, usually Iron Swan's enough to clean it up, even if it doesn't outright kill. Usually puts him down to like 2 hit points, and then the bleed cleans it up, so I like that a lot. And I think that's it. So I'm pretty happy with this list. I apologize for the hiatus. I was taking a lot of classes this semester, and I was being worked to the bone for the most part, but that's life, right? So I did pretty well. I'm happy with what I did in school anyway, and so once I started noticing the videos blowing up, getting a lot of comments, Darkest Dungeon was on sale, and I was thinking, okay, I need to put something quick into the atmosphere so people can digest that before I move on to other stuff. I am working on 2 other videos alongside this one. This is just the easiest to put down right now. The first one is going to be talking about general team comps, so like, what does a Mark team look like? And I'm going to kind of build it on screen and show it running and stuff like that. So it's going to be kind of new player friendly, but I think even like a return to basics can be good for people, so definitely check it out. The other video is the class guide series is finally starting. I'm going to start with the Graverobber. That video I have recorded, I'm not kidding, 3 times. And when I say recorded 3 times, I mean like got footage, did 2 hours of audio. I usually do a lot of audio and then like chop it up, and I do retakes and stuff like that. So I had a lot of audio ready to go. I had it scripted. It's still scripted. It's still sitting there, but every time I start putting it together, I get like halfway through the editing process and go, I just don't like this. Like, it's not going the way I want it to, so I just delete it and I start over. So Graverobber's gonna be first. After that, maybe Shieldbreaker, not sure, question mark. Anyway, those are the immediate videos I'm working on. If there are other classes you want me to tackle before, like earlier in the class guide series, feel free to throw it out, just because there's 17 base classes, I believe, so that's going to take a lot of time to go through them. Some guides will probably be shorter, because, like, how long can you really talk about the leper? You know, you just talk about, man, the Jester's really good with him. Wow, give him a focus ring. Wow, press chop. Dang, you know. So yeah, let me know what y'all want to see. I'm also going to cover some stuff like mods. I've had a lot of people ask about mods. I've had people give me good mods to check out, so that'll be fun. I've got a list going, so when I start making mod stuff, I'll do like a little mod class review. That's actually going to be really fun. I think it's going to take some time. Like, I almost want to do a full playthrough with the mod classes just to see how they go, because I think that'll be the best way to figure them out. And then finally, I'm going to go over some new player stuff. Like, I've had people ask me what's a good amount of each hero to keep in your roster, and some other things. So I think something as simple as like town management would be good. So other players are trying to go into Stygian and Blood Moon and stuff. I think a town guide would be nice, because there are little tricks I think you should be doing to maximize your stuff. Like in Blood Moon, don't max out the stagecoach. That's just an example. Get enough where you get a couple reliable heroes, but since you're on the time limit, for instance, you don't really have enough time to raise a new hero at week 75. If you took them on every single run with like the Ancestor Portrait, maybe, but otherwise it's pretty tough to bring in new people, so having like 4 heroes a week is usually enough. You just get the ones you want and then just work with it. So I think there's a lot to explore there. And I am going to cut it here finally, so I'm going to shut the heck up. Alright, as always, thanks for watching. I'm loving the comments. I'm loving all the fantastic people talking to me, talking to each other. Y'all are beautiful. If you want to hit me up and bother me about stuff like, where's the video, you can drop in a Discord. It's a small mom and pop Discord. We have less than 20 people. It's about as active as Grevik makes it. We love you, Grevik. And then on Twitter, I'm on there at least once a day, so I check out stuff. So you can follow me there and hit me up on that stuff too, or just leave a comment. I don't care. Anyway, we're done. I'm out. I'm Shuffle. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.